Do you know that feeling that you get when you are in a situation that is supposed to be very enjoyable, like let's say a boat ride or an amusement park, or you go into a museum and there's beautiful art there, something like that, an enjoyable experience, but you are not enjoying yourself. Inside, you feel like there is a blockage to the enjoyment of the situation. It's not that there is per se something on your mind, like something that you're worrying about. Everything seems to be okay, but still you cannot really enjoy the situation. This is because we think that an outside circumstance is going to fulfill something inside of us. It does not work that way. So often in our society, in our rich world that we live in today, we think that out of all the things that we can choose from outside of ourselves, that something in there, something in the outside world is going to fulfill us on the inside world. So we look for it. We look for entertainment, we look for enjoyment and all kinds of stuff that is going to fulfill us. But when we do those things, we are disappointed because they do not fulfill what we hope that they would fulfill. You see, the outside world can never fulfill the inside world. It does not work that way. But now when you turn it around, if the inside world is harmonious, is complete, is fulfilled, then the outside world is never going to be able to push the inside out of balance. The inside world is the first priority. Because if your inside world is the way it's supposed to be, happy, fulfilled, then the outside world is a pure expression of that. The outside world is like the cherry on the cake, or the expression of the internal self. And the outside world is going to give you challenges. That's normal. You need those challenges because those challenges give your system or your entire being your spirit, your mind, and your physical body, it gives your entire being a stress. But that stress keeps the entire system healthy. It's very important to have that stress. You need to push your comfort zone in life. Very important. Life happens on the edge of your comfort zone. And sometimes you can be, a bit more in your comfort zone and relax a little bit, but you never want to be in that comfort zone for too long because life happens on the edge of your comfort zone. That's where the action is and that is where life happens. So that's where you want to be predominantly the most of your time. So the challenges that you get in life fulfill a important task in your life. Really, they keep you in balance. You need challenges. You need an internal stress to stay healthy and alive, really. But the outside circumstances are never going to push you out of your state of equilibrium when you know yourself. Truly, I cannot emphasize on this enough. It is so much more important to, in the first place, focus on yourself and then on the externals. The externals are a reflection of you. They are never going to fulfill you. So the outside provides challenges that you need. It provides the stress that you need. But it can never push you off balance because the outside world is really nothing more than appearances. It's the cherry on the cake. Don't work from the outside in, work from the inside out. Truly. Focus on your mind, your body, and your spirit. That is where your first focus should lie. That is so much more than anything outside. There are examples enough of people that have so much on the outside, but inside they're unfulfilled. They are very small, they're very unhappy, and no matter what they have on the outside, it never fulfills them. It never works. Because the outside cannot fulfill the inside. The inside is fulfilled, then the outside doesn't actually matter all that much. The outside becomes a playground. That's how it's supposed to be. to be in balance inside. That is the first importance. That is where your happiness lies. Inside of you, not outside of you. The most important thing is to know yourself and to balance yourself out, to bring your body, mind, and spirit in harmony, so that internally happiness shines. And then the outside world can reflect that, becomes a playground really. And it's always going to challenge you, but it needs to. It needs to challenge you. Your system needs challenge, because the edge of your comfort zone is where the action happens. But if you know yourself inside, and you are harmonious inside, then nothing what happens on the outside is actually going to push you off balance. A challenge does not push you out of balance. It challenges you. It challenges you to stay in balance. There's nothing that can happen outside of you that can really completely push you out of your balance. Because the outside world is an appearance when you contrast it with the internal world. The internal world is so much vaster and so much more complete and so much more it provides your happiness to an extent that the external can never do. When you become happy on the inside, when inside of you you create your own happiness, then the external world, it becomes more empty. It becomes more of an appearance, a beautiful appearance though, but the importance goes out of it, because it never was in there. So you'll see that the importance of the external is actually way less than you thought it was. But it only appears that way in contrast to the happiness that you cultivate inside of yourself. When you cultivate the happiness inside of yourself, the external world becomes less meaningful, more of an appearance. So cultivating your internal happiness is done by meditation, by becoming aware of the spirit of yourself, of your mind, and of your body. Increasing your awareness of the internal self is increasing your happiness, because awareness brings harmony. It always does. Your awareness is like a healing power that brings harmony to everything inside of yourself. So if you increase your awareness, you increase the harmony and therefore the happiness inside of yourself. And the more you do that, the more it becomes apparent. And the more it is apparent, the more you will see that the external world is an appearance. A beautiful appearance though. It's a beautiful play. But it does not house your happiness. It becomes more of an empty play, of an empty play of appearances. Beautiful as it is, but never the source of your happiness. If you shower your internal energies with consciousness, then there is no other way for those energies to fall into harmony. They always have to. Because that consciousness, that awareness, is like a healing power. Things cannot stay out of harmony when they are in awareness. It is impossible. When awareness, without the mind, becomes aware of something, then that something has to become harmonious. It has to come into harmony, because there is no disturbing factor, which is the mind, you see. The mind is a disturbing factor. If the mind is not present and consciousness shines onto something, purely as it is, it has to come into harmony. Because consciousness itself, awareness itself, Universal energy itself is only harmony. So how can things appear to be out of harmony? Well, only because the disturbing actions of the mind are present. So this means that things do not have to, become healed, but the disturbing factor has to be removed. The mind is the disturbing factor, when it is unconscious, of course, when it is seen or when it is experienced as other than a tool. When we identify with it, then it becomes a disturbing factor. So perfection is already there. Harmony is already there. But the disturbing factor is placed upon it. So remove the disturbing factor, and consciousness as it purely is shines, and always therefore creates harmony where there was disharmony before. When you shower your internal energies with that consciousness, it brings it into harmony. Harmony is happiness because there is the absence of the disturbing factor or the unhappiness. Happiness is your natural state. And then it becomes very, very apparent that the outside world is just an appearance and in no way, shape or form can produce happiness for the unaware self. Become aware of yourself. Therein lies your harmony, your happiness, your everything. That is priority number 1. Okay people, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.